This is Death Sports. Drop the mic. Hey, we're going to be interviewing a legend today. He's been in the game for a long, long time. He goes by Stitch Duran. I'm pretty sure Stitch is a nickname for him. But Mr. Duran, we're going to be interviewing him right now. What's up, Toby? So, man, he's been a cut man for I don't know how long. So that's one of the questions I'm going to ask him. What's up, Birdman? Let's go. Juju. Yeah, I don't know how long he's been in the game, but man, ever since I was a kid, I seen this guy like in the corner. So he's been in the game for a long time, and I asked him, and he said he wants to do an interview, so it's gonna be cool, man. Interviewing a legend, so I'm gonna invite him right now. It's gonna be his first Instagram live, um, Instagram live, interview. So that's pretty cool. Let me see. Let me invite him. All right, he's gonna get the invite. So you name it, he's stitched him up. He's been in their corner, and even a Hollywood star. He's in a couple Creed movies. Oh, there he is, Mr. Duran. I'm gonna invite you. His first Instagram live right here with Death Sports. There you go. He's gonna be joining.
Bear with me. All right. What's up,
Hey, Mr. Duran.
¿Qué pasó? How you doing?
I'm doing good. And you?
Good.
We appreciate you coming on. We know you're, a busy man. Uh, yeah, with all the movies you've been doing.
It's crazy, huh?
Yeah, that is. With all the Creeds, those are your first movies, or have you been in others?
Oh, I've been in 7 movies, man. I'm not an actor. I'm the farthest thing from being an actor. I don't want to be an actor, but I play myself, right? So, so the first one that I did was with Woody Harrelson and Antonio Banderas, playing to the bone. I was a cut man for Woody Harrelson, and then I did Ocean's 11 when Vladimir Klitschko, when they robbed the casino, and Vladimir Klitschko fought Lennox Lewis during that. They had a big fight in Vegas in the movie, and after that, I started working with Vladimir Klitschko from the Ukraine for 8 years, heavyweight champ of the world. But somebody asked me last night if I said, "Did you get to my son-in-law? Did you get to meet everybody?" Yeah, I said Julia Roberts, George Clooney, Brad Pitt, Matt Damon, Andy Garcia. Yeah, I met them all. And then I did Balboa when Rocky fought his last fight. I did Creed 1, Creed 2, Creed 3. So I've been blessed, bro. And so if I could do it, anybody could do it.
You ever thought about acting more?
No. I tell my wife I don't want to act. That's not my job. That's cool.
That's another question. Like, how'd you get it? Like, man, ever since I was a kid, I always saw you stitching in the corner.
Yeah.
I just never knew your name until until I started doing research on you. Like, what made you get into that?
Well, it's funny you said you didn't know my name, but I'll give you a quick story. They're filming a documentary on my life, right? And based on the book that I wrote, From the Fields to the Garden. So Michael B. Jordan, they interviewed him. And he's saying, he goes, and this is the third movie I'm doing with him, right? So I know him as well. It's always him and I when I rap his ads by ourselves. So I get to talk to him and all that. And finally I asked him, I said, Michael, I said, do you know my real name? And he said, Stitch. I said, no. Do you know my real name? He says, I don't. And he yells, hey, anybody there knows Stitch's real name? So that's the thing, because you asked, right? So I kind of mess around with people right now that I've worked with for many years. But yeah, for the most part, everybody throughout the world knows me as Stitch.
What's your real name?
Jacob.
Jacob Duran?
Yeah.
Are you related to the real, the
No, he's Panamanian and I'm Mexican, but he gave me a compliment one time. We were there's some fights at the Mandalay Bay here in Las Vegas, and he comes out of the restroom and he comes up to me and says, hey man, in Spanish, thank you for, so proud of you for representing the raza and this and that, and we shake hands and give a hug, and he takes off, and my friends are with me, and he says, Roberto Duran? Yeah, so yeah, nice relationship.
How'd you get into this? How did it come about?
Where's your station at? Where's your show at? Where are you from?
San Diego.
All right, you're a city boy, right? So I grew up in the Central Valley of California, by Merced, a little town called Planada. Actually, I was born and raised in a migrant camp, but then I moved to Planada when I was in the second grade, and then it was like 1,500 people, all raza, all farm workers, and then yeah. So I always wanted to play American baseball. I used to play third base, so I walked down to Merced College, and I didn't have a car, and it was tough for me to stay and practice, and then hitchhike home. So I joined the Air Force, and in 1972, I'm 71 now. They stationed, but I always said if I went to the Orient, I'd want to study the martial arts, and they sent me to a place called Thailand, and this during the Vietnam War. I didn't even know what Thailand was, but I first Muay Thai fight, and the guy threw a kick and knocked the guy out. And that Monday, I went to the program that they had on base, which was Taekwondo. Well, Taekwondo sounds the same. I didn't know it was Korean, but for 3 months I trained there, and then the Thais transitioned us into the Muay Thai system. So I studied both of those sports, and that's how I got going. Got back to the States. I lived in Oakland and got into boxing to improve my hands, and started training amateur boxers with a friend of mine, and that's where I learned how to wrap hands. And then I opened up a school of kickboxing, in Fairfield, California, and it was ASK, the American School of Kickboxing. So if you look at the UFC and all these MMAs, Javier Mendez that trains Habib, all these guys, I worked with him, so I had some real good fighters. And then I moved to Vegas 28 years ago to follow my dreams, and here I am talking to you.
Right, you're talking to me. You said kickboxing. You did a little kickboxing? Like, were you like some fights?
Yeah, well, when this is 1974, right? You weren't even born then. When I got back to the States, kickboxing was just at its infancy stage, and so I joined karate tournaments and kicked the shit out of everybody. I did it with power, and they in karate they do points, right? Bam and bam and shit. One guy in 3 kicks I took him out, and so I did like 2 tournaments. And but it was non-existent, and that's why I got into boxing to improve my hands, and then had an 8 to 5 job. So RJ Reynolds Tobacco Company, I had a free company car every 3 years. I had a car and the tie and worked by myself. So I did that.
You say you still got it?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Would you like a lot of these influencer fighting? Would you ever get back? Like if they pay you 10 million to fight?
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
you do it?
Yeah, somebody my age, of course, or even KSI. I think I kicked KSI's ass. He's a good kid, man. I like it. But yeah, if you presented that to my wife, she'd say, "You better get in the gym right now," And so, yeah, I think I'd be all right. I'm 71. Give me someone in the late 60s, early 70s, and good point.
I think that movie was about you, the Grudge Match. Remember that movie?
Yeah, of course. Sylvester Stallone and Robert De Niro. Yeah, that'd be it. But no, in all sincerity, I'm too old for that. Once you get to my age, you start learning on probabilities, right? Balance, timing, coordination, and that's how people get hurt. So I got smarter as I got older.
A lot. One of the questions were because like a lot of people were like asking me was if they wanted to do what you do, like what would be the process to doing that?
I get asked that question all the time from all over the world. Doctors, paramedics, nurses, EMTs, people studying kinesiology and all that. But what I tell them, very simple. It's I've been doing this for 35 years. It just didn't happen overnight, right? But what I say is, and the only way to do it is you got to be in the gyms. You got to train in whatever combative sport you're training, so you understand the pain, the hurt, the feel, the mental. You understand all that, and then as you're doing that, you get the confidence of the guys you're working with, and you start wrapping their hands and, practicing with them at your own cost, till, I wrap your hands and, man, it feels good. All right. Jacob, I want you to go work my corner. That's the next step. And then, slow on, so on, and then get into cuts. But it's a process, bro. You just don't walk into it like a doctor. You don't become a doctor overnight, right?
You need a certificate for that to do that?
No, unfortunately, this is combat sports, we're the only sport. That's a good question. We're the only sport, major league sport, where none of us have to be certified to be called a pro. You could buy your license for $50 and say you're a cutman or you're a trainer, and that's as easy as that. And that's why I always try to educate on on the cuts, the bruising, wrapping hands. I answer questions all the time, and I always tell these young fighters, I said, look, here's what you got to do is if you're looking for a cut man, ask him this question. The medication that we use, that's the one in the swab and the cut. The medication that we use, what does it do? Or what is it? It's adrenaline chloride 1000. He says, but I tell him, but if the guy tells you, oh, it's a coagulant, get another cut man because he's giving you the wrong answer. That medication right there is a vasoconstrictor. So when you see me working on a cut, I'll pinch it, I'll take that little blood out, dip it, and then I'll put the swab in there and it absorbs into the vein, and then it just closes the vein. So if you tell, a coagulation is when it just dries it up and clots it. But, so if he tells you that, get another cut man because he's not efficient.
Yeah.
If he puts the swab in his mouth or he puts it in his ear, get another cut man. That's old school.
Yeah. Okay.
It's yeah.
What do you tell when you're like cutting them, like when you're fixing them up during the rounds? Are you talking to them in there?
Sometimes. Yeah, and that's another thing is good questions. What's your name?
My name's Rich.
Rich. Yeah, that's a good question because psychology is extremely important, bro. And there's a time and a place to do it. And a lot of times I do it before we even get in the fight. I'll sit down with them and I say, look, man, here's what I'm doing. I'm keep ice on you every round. Don't worry about this. This is my job to take care of you. Boom. And guys are gladiators, man. They're modern day gladiators, but deep inside they're all babies, and my job is to take care of the baby.
There you go. Speaking of gladiators, like, what's your most memorable moment, like cornering somebody, like your most favorite moment?
Bro, there's tons of them. I'll give you one for MMA and one for boxing. How's that? All right. So
Yeah.
MMA, I was working with Chuck Liddell, and he's fighting Vanderlei Silva, right? Well, Vanderlei Silva, when I used to go to Japan, the Brazilians, Shogun, Vanderlei, all these guys were doomed. They gave me the nickname Santana. And so we're friends, right? So a week before the fight, I saw Vanderlei, and yeah, of course, I wish him good luck and this and that. And, I told him, hey, man, it's my birthday that day. I'm going to give you good energy. Well, I just happened to be working with Chuck Liddell, and bro, it's one of my top 3 fights ever. These guys are cracking each other to the point where you could just hear it, bam and bam, and I mean they're beating the shit out of each other. And Chuck gets cut, and I go clean him up after the fight. Then I go talk to Vanderlei, and Leon Tabbs, the original cutman's working on Vanderlei, and his face is all swollen. And I go up to him and say, hey, Vanderlei, how you feeling? He looks at me, Steve, I'm okay. And he says, Steve, happy birthday. I said, man, this guy, one of the toughest fights of his life, and he had the respect to say happy birthday. That was a mind blower. And then Vladimir Klitschko, when he fought Anthony Joshua, his last fight, when he retired after that, he was a world champ for 8 years. I didn't see him until Friday. We're in Germany, in England, at the Wembley Stadium, 90,000 people. And I don't see him until Friday, but I sit down and I talk to him at the weigh-ins, and him and his brother Vitaly. And now Vitaly's the mayor of Kiev right now. And if you know, they're fighting Russia. And Vladimir is the face of the country. So, but that was then. So anyway, I sit down and I talk to Vladimir and, go through what we normally do, and then put my hand on his shoulder. And I said, look, man, don't worry about nothing tomorrow. I'm going to take care of you like you're my son. And I leave. And that's that psychology, right? Bro, I'm putting the Vaseline on him right before Michael Buffer does the announcements, all these crazy 90,000 Brits. It's loud and it's buzzing. And I'm this far apart from him, and he says, I'm like this, putting the Vaseline. He says, you could call me son. Bro, I get chill. And one of the greatest fights, he lost his title, but one of the greatest fights he ever had in his career. The fans are, please, go, please. It's like a Rocky movie. Josh, Run, Josh, run, cleats go, cleats go. And about 3 months later, the last time I saw Vladimir, I was in Germany. We were in Germany. And I asked him, I said, Vladimir, that moment, why? So I asked. He said, Stitch, he goes, there's very few people I trust in my life. You are one of them. So those are two stories. I got tons, bro. Tons.
You have your worst experience as a in the corner?
There was there was one guy, I won't throw names out, and but this kid was and I've known him since he was a kid. He used to come to my school, and he was 15, 16 years old and spar with my professional kickboxers and beat the crap out of them. Right? He was a friend. And anyway, but he was in a great, great fight. And then they had a rematch. Well, in that first fight, the coach was also the cut man. And he ended up swelling up. And so anyway, going fast forward for the second fight, the manager says, Stitch, I want to be the cut man for this fighter in this rematch. I said, yeah, great, man. So we're there, but his coach was so egotistical that throughout the whole time in the dressing room, he didn't say one word to me. Not one word, nothing, you know. And I never felt so bad in my life. I was like, you know, what a piece of shit. You know, now that my name has gone up a little bit, he comes and, hey, Stitch, gives me a hug and all that. But, you know, you never forget, man.
Exactly. Like, hey, that's some cool stories. Like, you have a bunch of them, I bet, huh?
Tons.
But now, like, speaking on like another question I had was like seeing all these influencer guys. Like, what's your thoughts on that? Like KSI, these Logan Paul guys, like
Work
Paul.
them all. Work with them all. They pay good money, bro. Now, you know, I the first one that I did was KSI when he fought Logan Paul. I didn't know who KSI is. I don't know who Logan Paul is, you know. So they asked me to work with him. So KSI moved from England to Las Vegas, here in Las Vegas, to train with Jeff Mayweather and all these other guys. And they brought me in as a cut man. So just like I do in the movies with Michael B. Jordan, every day I wrapped KSI's hands. Once he came into the gym, he was a fighter. And a lot of respect to him because he wasn't a fighter. So he made that transition, you know. Every day I'm wrapping his hands and I'm talking to him and all that, and just a super guy, and find out that he has like 20 million followers. You know, I think he's a rapper. I don't even know what the shit he does, you know. But we spent that time together, and he fought Logan Paul at the Staples Center, and I knew it was a different world because usually when we walk into the dressing room, the team, the guys that are working in the corner, will go to ringside and we'll look at the steps and the ring, the ropes and all that, check it out, and then what your assignment is, my assignment, your assignment, and we'll go through that. So we're walking from the dressing room to the arena, and Leon and Riley, the two British coaches, everybody knew who they were. All these young kids, nobody knew who I was. So I knew it was a different world, bro. You know, you go into my boxing, everybody stops me, right? So I knew it was different, and Pete Davidson is there, and Justin Bieber is all this and all this crazy shit, and but it was fun, and I just, you know, I mean, I've done 3 or 4, maybe 5. I just finished Nate Diaz with Jake Paul, you know, and that was fun. So they're fun. I you know what? It's a new age of social media. I understand, and the thing about it is they're not making a mockery of the sport, my sport. You know, they're training, they're working. Somebody's going to win, somebody's going to lose. You know, Tyson Fury with Ngannou. You know, bless their hearts. You know?
I feel like they made the sport like in a way like give it some life in a bit.
Yeah, 100%. You know, and props to the guys, and they're doing a good job. So I support them all the way.
Yeah, because a lot of like the professional guys like Canelo and all those guys, they're like, you know, they just let their hands do the talking. But these guys, you know, they're more the entertainment side, like WWE in a way, huh?
Yeah, pretty much, man. You know, yeah, pretty much. You know, these guys are masters of what they do, and but that aside, and give them props because, you know, si se puede. Anything can be done. You know, if you go forward and use your imagination and use your talents and all that, and that's what these guys have done. They've created their own formula. I mean, bro, Nate Diaz. I worked when I was with the UFC because Nate and Nick and they're from Stockton, and I grew up in Planada, but we're the same 209. And so every time they fought in the UFC, I worked with them, right? So I saw Nate we did a boxing show in Stockton, and I saw him in the audience, and we give a hug, and hey man, who's gonna be your cut man for this fight? He goes, fucking you are, man. So that's how we hooked up, right? But as I'm wrapping his hands and going through the process, I'm talking to him, and Nate has really done a great job with his money. He's invested it in real estate and this and that, but his agent, Zach Rosenfield, put a comment out after the fights because he co-promoted with Jake Paul. And in co-promoting, they had all the rights to pay-per-view, all the rights to merchandise, all the rights to sponsorships. So from what he quoted, he says Nate is making anywhere from $15 to $20 million. So how can you dispute that, bro? You know,
That's still a lot of money, yeah? Or
a lot of money. Yeah, but they did a great job doing it. It was all top of the line. And Nate had his own bus. He brought about 20 friends, you know, and had like an Airbnb, big old ass house with, I think about 10 of them stayed there, and some stayed in the hotel. And he had this big old giant luxury bus, and Nate Diaz all over it. And so I'm proud of that young man. You know, he's doing it the right way.
You were in his corner, right, on the Jake
Yeah,
Paul fight?
of course, yeah.
What was going on in the corner right there? Was he saying anything?
No, well, you know, I've known him. I know he's crazy as shit, right?
Yeah.
In a good way,
Yeah.
right? But no, he was totally in control, man. He was fine, but you know, yeah, Nate. When it's time to fight, Nate will fight. It's just that it's his style.
Was he saying anything about Jake Paul in the corner? Like, fuck that guy?
No, it's pretty much, you know, it's at that point it's business, you know.
Yeah.
And on him, and one of the questions at the press conference, they asked us, in this fight, you always get cut, but you didn't get cut in this fight. Well, that's because I had ice on him and the N12 on him every round. I worked on him, you know, and I did a lot. And that's what I tell him. I'm going to do a lot of, I'm going to keep ice on you all the time. I'm going to do a lot of preventive maintenance. I'm not going to wait till you start swallowing or cutting. And then you swell, you cut. You know, your skin tips, it gets soft and warm. And, you know, it's easy to swell up at that point and get cut.
Okay.
So,
I had another question, Mr. Duran. Who you have winning, KSI or Tommy Fury?
well, they already fought, right? Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
KSI and no, aren't they fighting 10 days from now, right?
Oh, are they?
In like the UK?
Well, I thought they fought. No, didn't they fight? I don't pick them. You know, I don't really care. I do so many fights, man, that, you know, people ask me who, and I don't like making predictions because I don't know and you don't know, and you know. But if you ask me for probability of cuts, and I could answer that a lot better. Yeah,
Are you gonna be there?
No. I just worked KSI that one time, and that was yeah.
They gotta they gotta have you there.
Yeah. You would think, no, I got a show in Houston next week, and then I'll be in England the week after, and so no, I'm okay. Yeah, I do a lot.
Dang. Okay. Well, you have any like last words you want to say? Any shout outs? I know you're a busy man, Mr. Duran.
I'll keep doing good show. You know, keep it up, and like I say, we do it again. I got more stories, man.
Right. I think you broke up a little. Hold on. Can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah, of course.
Yeah, something happened right there. What were you saying? Your last words?
Of course. No, listen, you do a good job. You did a good job on the interviews. Good questions. Looks like you got a good fan base. So yeah, let's do it again, man. You know, just give me a call. And this is the first time I've done an Instagram phone. That's pretty easy, you know. So that I could do anywhere. But yeah, I got a ton of stories, man. Ton.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear them. You know, they're definitely interesting. I'm definitely going to ask more. You know.
Yeah, free. You know, and ask me about anything. People are always scared. Hey, man, can I ask you about why the UFC fired you? I said, yeah, of course. I ain't got nothing to hide. You know, as a matter of fact, I'm kind of like the hero of the guy that stood up. You know, so yeah, I ain't got no.
Yeah, I saw something on your Instagram. Dana White was saying something like, you know, I don't know, mad at you or something.
Oh, no.
Something about friends or something.
Yeah, well, yeah, you know, real quick before we go, I was the primary cut man for the UFC for like 15 years. Dana brought me in. I knew Dana before he was with the UFC. I knew him. He was doing hand pads for the executives and the wives, but he brought me in, and then we were all working with sponsors, and they took all the sponsors away from all the fighters and everybody, and went exclusive with Reebok, and everybody's hating the program, and they're effing Dana, effing UFC, effing Reebok, and they take our sponsors away. I was making sponsors, had watches, and we were making money with sponsors. I needed the UFC to make my money through sponsors for TV coverage. So they took those away, and they called me and asked if I'd be interested in doing an interview of the UFC affected the CUTMAN, the Reebok deal affected the CUTMAN. So being that I grew up as a farm worker and my parents fought for the rights of Cesar Chavez with Cesar Chavez, I figured, man, I got to man up. So the interview went it was politically correct, because I worked with R.J. Reynolds Tobacco Company for 23 years, but it went viral. And so in that aspect, they let me go, but Dana says they interviewed him at a fight, and they asked him, will Stitch ever come back? And he said, nah, Stitch will never be back, And then he shits a stick and saying, Stitch and I were never friends. So that blew up in his face. And then, well, listen, man, I got somebody at the door. So thanks. And then we'll do it again, man.
All right, Mr. Duran, you have a good day.
All right. Thank you for calling. Bye.
Yes, sports out.
All right.